I'm going to quickly show you some key information from the user manual on getting your cut times down. The user manual is located right below the computer monitor here. It's got lots of decent information in it about how you can use the laser and how you can set up your cuts effectively. But there is a few pieces of information in the quick start guide. So in the book, it's flagged on page 75. You can see here what it's telling us is that if you cut horizontally, it's usually faster. So for a continuous image, such as what's shown here, there's continuous graphics being cut the entire time. If you just rotate it horizontally, you get about a 20% savings on time, or 34% it says more specifically. So if it's a continuously engraved item, horizontally is typically better. It's going to step down less times. The step over is kind of the slower thing. And again, the higher the DPI, the greater this is going to be exaggerated. So typically horizontal is faster. However, if there are large breaks in the graphic here, so there's a break here, the machine automatically knows not to cover a section where there's nothing to be engraved, so it's going to skip this block, it'll skip a thin block right here, it'll skip a thin block right here. In this case, it's actually better to have it vertical because it's only going to be engraving this short section here, this logo here, this section, and then this other section. So it's going to break it up into 4 chunks, and it's going to rapid travel between those bricks. Whereas this, it has to travel horizontally the entire way. So there is no one-size-fits-all answer. It's definitely worth the time to try 2 or 3 arrangements, and you can dramatically cut down the time. So if it's continuous, typically horizontal is better. If there are large breaks, you might get away with doing vertical as being faster. And then there is one final section on page 96. There is a third way we can send things to the printer. We can break them into chunks by color, and the color will just tell them to print that entire color before another color. It has nothing to do with the color that the part is going to be. So in this case, instead of the printer running across this entire row and then down across the entire row, it's going to instead do all the red, so it's going to have a very short travel, and then it's going to do all the green, and then all of the blue. So I could have turned this vertical, and it would have done a similar thing, but I can have it set up horizontally and break items into colors. The reason I'm highlighting this, in the past we had a team do a foosball table, and if they had broken it up into colors, they could have done the vertical bars on both of the ends over the 2 foot of the part. So if you imagine this being a 3 or 4 foot long by 2 foot item, if they wanted to engrave a bar on the end on here and over here, they could have had, and the circle in the center. If they had done that in 3 separate colors, it probably would have printed in 2 or 3 minutes each, maybe 8 or 9 minutes for the entire part. But instead they had it set up with one giant file, and the laser would fire over here, travel 2 or 3 feet, and fire over here and step down. And it was going back and forth, and it took over an hour to engrave. And then it had to, again, so it'd fire over here, it'd hit part of the circle and fire, and then travel all the way here and fire again. So there's lots of dead travel time. If you can break it up, you can do it by colors, and it should decrease your travel time or decrease your total cut time. Here's an illustration of what increasing the DPI actually does. You can see here, basically, the laser is just going to fire more times per inch. So it's going to fire twice as many times in the same period. That will cause it to burn more. It also, as you can see, causes it to step down each row more frequently. So 300 DPI, it would only take 3 lines to get this done. 600 DPI, it's going to take 6 lines to get this section it's showing being done. So increasing the DPI has a big impact on time because of the number of lines it's going to take.